So how do you think he does it?
Beats me.
Where'd he learn that trick? He always knows what games to get before anybody else.
Subscribe now and get with it.
There he goes. Mr. Nintendo.
Nintendo Power. Call now and get with it.
CGQ Plus.
So I'm not really sure how to start this video, so I guess I'll just get into the story. There's a record store here in town called Armadillo Music, and like that and the grocery store are probably the two like stores that I go to multiple times per week. And because I've gone there so regularly for so long, I've become sort of a regular there, and so I've gotten, you know, pretty chummy with the manager Paul and the assistant manager Nick, and you know, they kind of keep an eye out for me. Like if a record comes in that they, you know, think, oh, Chris might want that, because they're trying to run a business and sell stuff. So, you know, they'll, you know, DM me on Instagram to say, you know, hey, this came in, do you want it? And like they know I have the YouTube show and whatnot. And so I go in there one day and Nick's acting kind of mysterious, and he says to Paul, he says, hey, did you tell Chris about the thing? And Paul says, no, I haven't told him yet, because, you know, it's not here, right? I'm like, well, what thing? He's like, well, Nick tells me, he's like, well, we got this thing in trade, but I have it at home right now, and I don't really want to tell you about it because I want you to see it. You know, like, he wanted to like surprise me with it, but you know, it's one thing, I don't like ruining people's surprises, but at the same time, I'm not a huge fan of surprise. So I was able to get him to kind of tell me like, well, just tell me what it is. Give me a hint, you know? And he basically said somebody came in to trade in their record collection, and there was a folder in with the records full of like Nintendo stuff that he says that I think you'd be very interested in. And then they told me the story. I guess the person came in there to trade in the records, and only after they were going through the records did they find this folder in there. And so the person whose records they were said, oh, I'm sure you don't want that, and wanted to take it back. And Paul said, well, no, if you want to trade that in too, like we'll pay you for it. Because, you know, the guy's been running a record store for like 20 years. So like he knows, you know, what things are worth stuff. And, you know, and Paul goes to like flea markets and stuff and then sells stuff at an antique store. So I'm saying he's the kind of guy, you know, he's kind of like a picker, like those American pickers guys. And so he knows when things are worth something. And so, you know, he gave the person something, you know, some money or whatever for this folder. And, you know, I'd come into the store sometimes, like, and Nick would say, oh, I still have it at home or whatever. And I say, you know, no big deal. And, you know, I'm patient. And then disaster struck when we've had a bunch of rainstorms coming through since New Year's. And one of these storms caused a lot of flooding in the record store. And they were closed for like 3 weeks because they had to replace a bunch of drywall, and like a bunch of the CDs got ruined and some vinyl as well. And in that time span, I kind of just forgot about the folder, to be honest. And the first day they were open, I was in the store, and Nick comes over to me and hands me the folder. And I was like, oh, I forgot about that. And I open it, and I'm kind of like leafing through it a little bit. And, you know, I'd asked them like, well, what are you going to do with it? And they're like, well, we're not really sure yet. Because, you know, they're not a video game store. I don't think they even have like an eBay store. You know, they sell on Amazon and they sell in the store. So I think they weren't sure like what the best way was to, you know, sell the folder. And so I saw a couple things in there I wanted, just nothing even, it was a couple of video game manuals that I didn't have. I was like, oh, I'd buy those. And I didn't think much else of it. One thing, I didn't spend much time looking through it, and there's something in here that I hadn't seen that I would have definitely wanted. But anyway, I just said, well, when you figure it out, you know, let me know. And went home. And I think it was like a day later, I was thinking about it, and I was like, man, like that folder would be like a really cool thing. You know, I'm always kind of on the lookout for like fodder for the show, right? Like that Sega Genesis controller. Like, I don't need a Sega Genesis controller, but I'm like, I can make a video about that. Or even the Mega Turrican thing from the other day. I was like, well, I can make a video. That'd be cool. And I think partially I use it to justify buying things. I'm like, well, I don't need this folder, but if I bought it and made a video out of it, then, I guess I feel like some value got extracted out of it because, I made a video that a bunch of people could watch. So I went back in the store and I just said, "Hey, Paul, you want to make a deal?" And he's like, "What are you talking about?" And I said, "A folder." I said, "What do you want for the folder? Let's work out a deal. I'll just take the folder." And I'm not good at negotiating, So he's like, "Oh, well, what were you thinking?" And we kind of felt each other out. And I'll just say this folder was not cheap. I know some people don't like it when you don't say how much you paid for things, but I'm almost kind of embarrassed. This folder was not cheap. So I think I got my money's worth and then some. Like, if I'm not going to do that, because I'm just not a guy that flips stuff, I could take everything out of this folder and list it separately on eBay, and I would more than make my money back. I'm not even worried about that. But I'm saying it's still a lot of money to pay for something. So, and I'm not going to sell any of this stuff. There's a magazine in here that Corey might need, and if he needs it, he's welcome to it. But other than that, I think I'm gonna leave this folder intact. This is like somebody's childhood Nintendo memories, and so I'm not really gonna split it up. I just want to leave the folder the way it is, and I'm just gonna put it in with my collection of old magazines. So anyway, enough of the intro or whatever. So here's the folder. It's just a pink paper, whatever folder. It's the kind of folder that we all used in school back in the 80s. And you see it's got Nintendo written on it. And that's about it. So anyway, I'm not going to try and like individually pull stuff out and, put on the Dog and Pony Show or whatever. I'm just going to open it and we're going to get into it. So, the first thing you can see right off the bat, unless you've been living in a cave, is we've got issue number 1 of Nintendo Power back there. So that's nice. I haven't looked. I think this might be like a condition upgrade compared to the one that I already have. But like I said, I want to kind of keep this stuff together. So I think what I'll probably end up doing is bagging this magazine, but then just putting it back in the folder. But first thing we've got here, this is not really that big of a deal. I've got plenty of I used to find this kind of stuff all the time. Back in the salad days of video game collecting. This is the kind of poster that would have come with like any first party NES game that you bought in the 80s. I don't know. They might have changed out the posters as time wore on, but based on the games I'm seeing on here, I'm guessing this poster is from like 89 ish. And I say that because you've got Super Mario Brothers 2 over here, Zelda 2, and then up here in the corner, you've got Tetris. And, because there's a lot of games on here that were like black box games, and in some cases launch games, golf, Hogan's Alley, pinball down here. There's Metroid and Donkey Kong Classics, not launch games or black box games, but obviously Metroid is awesome. And I had Donkey Kong Classics. I don't know what else is on here. Short Order / Explode, Fazanadu. Pretty cool. Anyway, I don't know. I have to see how many more of these I have. This would be kind of cool to like frame. Like, again, I won't frame this one, but if I have enough of these, it'd be kind of cool to frame it, put it up on the wall. Next here, I love stuff like this. This is somebody's hand-drawn map on graph paper. Classy as it should be. I'm not sure what I want to say. This is Zelda. The first Zelda, but I don't recognize the layout of the level. So I'm not, if somebody out there sees this and goes, "Oh yeah, that's obviously whatever game," whether it's that's Zelda level 8 or whatever it is. This thing here where it's going around, I don't know, that kind of throws me for a loop a little bit, but it looks like Zelda, and there's some other Zelda stuff in here that also just made me think that might be a Legend of Zelda. And then obviously here is Nintendo Power issue 1, which I want to go through everything in here first, but then I know we already did a full read through of this issue, but maybe for old time's sake, I think we'll give it a second flick through. Here is, this is the poster that came with my NES. I don't know when they might have stopped including it. This is a poster. I have this poster framed on my wall upstairs. Like it's mounted on like foam board and then framed. And I believe, I'd have to go check. I believe it's the exact same poster. It's too big to try to undo the entire thing. But I mean, you can see this based on the games that are in here, I'm guessing this person got their Nintendo around the same time I did, like 87. And so you look at the games that are on here and it's like older stuff for the most part. This seems like it would be like an 87 poster. Mario Brothers, that of course came out in 86, but you get like, Metroid, Legend of Zelda, Kid Icarus. Those are 87 games. Adventure of Link, that's an 88 game, but that probably had just not come out yet when this poster was made. Cause I don't remember when Zelda 2 came out in Japan, but back then everything used to come out way earlier in Japan than we got it. But like I said, for the most part, black box games, Excite Bike, Wrecking Crew. Mock Rider, is that a black box or is that like a silver box? Gyromite, Stack Up, the only two Rob games that ever existed. Ice Climber, and then sort of where the cut is here, you can kind of tell that's Kung Fu. Not sure what that one is. Hogan's Alley, Pinball, Clue Land, and Donkey Kong, but maybe Donkey Kong 3. So let's check that one. I don't remember. Let's check our answers. Oh no, that's Balloon Fight. All right, what do we got? Oh, okay, I got one wrong. No, I got two wrong. There's Kung Fu, Balloon Fight. That's Urban Champion. What did I say? Hogan's Alley, Pinball, Clue Land, and Donkey Kong Jr., not Donkey Kong 3. There's Donkey Kong 3. Donkey Kong, Popeye, 10-Yard Fight, Tennis. Again, all black box games. So stuff like this is just really cool. Moving along, we've got an issue of Nintendo Fun Club News. I'd have to go double check. I know I did a read through of Nintendo Fun Club News, and I thought it was this one, which is Volume 2, Issue 7, which I want to say that was the last issue, wasn't it? Right? Because then Nintendo Power came out in that's 88. So maybe that's not the last issue. No, this is 88. So this is June, July 88, and this is July, August 88. So yeah, I'm sure this was the last issue then of Nintendo Fun Club News. We can also do a little flick through that real quick. But pretty cool. This is just the thing that you would mail in. This is also the kind of thing that would have come with a game. It's sending in your subscription card for Nintendo Power. $3.50 per issue, $21 per year. But if you subscribe within 30 days of purchase of this game pack, you pay just $15. So do they? Yeah, they don't ask you to put in your receipt. So I guess it was an honor system kind of thing. But yeah, I know I mentioned this before. I never subscribed to Nintendo Power. I'm guessing it's the kind of thing where if I'd asked my parents, they just would have said no. So, but I don't recall ever asking. So, and then this is just a blank piece of paper. I don't know what that's all about. But then stuff like this is cool. This is, it's kind of funny. I think I'm making an educated guess, but I just think like the folder's pink, and that is the kind of handwriting that I think normally girls had. So I'm guessing it was like a young woman that this was her Nintendo stuff. But here is some Zelda clues, but you can see that she wrote these down while playing the game. At least I assume. Dodongo dislikes smoke. The white sword, master using it, and you can have this, etc. So, but again, just same with this map. Stuff like this is just so cool. Then on the other side, we have like just sort of this pile of this little stuff. Here's another poster. This is from LJN. Somehow I can't unfold it. There we go. LJN poster. She had T&C Surf Designs because the manual is right here. So I'm sure that's what it came with. There's also Major League Baseball, Jaws, Gotcha, and Karate Kid. I'm working on a video right now on Japanese baseball games, and I spent a lot of time trying to figure out where this game came from, because if you play the game, it just seems very Japanese. And I'm trying to remember who developed this game. I want to say it was like Atlas, but it was specifically developed for the American market. So, but if you played it, you would just assume, oh, this has to be a port of a Famicom game, but it's not. So there's that. as well as the T&C manual. I've got this Dr. Mario manual. This folder came with the box for Dr. Mario. No game though, but the box obviously was not inside the folder because the box is still put together and still has the styrofoam in it and everything. But I actually don't have a copy of Dr. Mario, but the Midwest Gaming Classic or whatever it's called is this weekend, and Corey's over there. And so I asked him to please try to find me a copy of Dr. Mario if he can. This is something that would have come packed in. You can see it's extremely beat up. But this, I believe, came packed in with The Legend of Zelda, which I think I have a complete in the box copy of this game. I'm not sure. I don't remember. But that's definitely seen some stuff. This looks like a dog chewed on it. That's all I could say. And then here's Super Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt Combo Manual, which tells you that this person, she got probably the action set. Isn't that what it was called? The action set, whenever that came out. I have no new person in 4-1, get Beanstalk in 6-1. So that's, I'm guessing those are clues for the original Mario Brothers. I don't know. Ooh, Super Mario Brothers Secret Tricks. Shh, don't tell anyone. That's pretty neat. I don't remember if the original manual, I'm assuming the original manual had the same stuff, but this is like a combo Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt manual. Next, Bases Loaded manual. Again, since I'm working on that video about Famicom baseball games, I've been playing a lot of Bases Loaded, which on the Famicom is called Moero Pro Yaku. And it used a special audio chip, it used the Famicom enhanced audio. So, Bases Loaded, one of the better baseball games on the NES, but if you play the Japanese version, then you also get cool sound. Here's another one of these posters. I'm assuming that it's the exact same poster. No, it's not. This is like a mini version. This is exactly a mini version of that bigger poster. So that's pretty cool. I'm not sure I have one of these. I'd have to check. I like how there's little check boxes. Like, oh, if you have this game, you can check it off. Like as if anybody was going to try to collect all the games. Maybe some rich kid or something. And then next, sorry, I had the microphone not pointed the right way, so hopefully it's wasn't too muffled. This obviously would have come with Bases Loaded. What's new from Jalico? A free Wilson sports poster. And you could pick which poster you wanted. You get Walter Payton, George Brett, Michael Jordan, or all three for $1.25 a piece just for the postage and handling, or all three for $2.75. I guess those would be kind of cool to have. Here is another Nintendo Power mail-in thing. This one I would guess is a couple of years younger. Came out a couple of years later. I don't remember when that DuckTales issue came out, but maybe like 90, 91. When did DuckTales come out on the NES? I don't remember. And then the Zapper manual, which I think is, I don't know, I guess this came with the action set, but it's kind of interesting because I feel like the Super Mario Brothers Duck Hunt manual over here also kind of had like a Zapper manual built in. So, sort of interesting that you would get two. But I'm pretty sure I don't have a Zapper manual, so that's pretty neat. Oh, this is cool. Check this out. Nintendo Entertainment System Consumer Parts List and Order Form. So what do we got in here if you need to replace some stuff? AC adapter, $12. RF switch, $11. Replacement controller, $15. They have both the 300 to 75 ohm converter and the 75 to 300 ohm converters, both for $3 a piece. The audio video cable, which I guess would just be a set of RCA cables, but red and yellow, because of course the NES was mono, for $4. You could replace any of your instruction manuals for $1.75. The Rob filter lens, which was like a thing that went over Rob's face. I don't remember what that was for $1. Rob battery cover. Oh, look, you could get the gyros. check that, because those are so expensive now. Set of gyros for Rob was only $8, and then the gyro tray, just see, gyro holder $3, gyro tray $5, gyro spinner, which was that little motor, was only $10. You could get the hands. So like I had to buy 3D printed gyro hands. Those were only $2. That's crazy. But yeah, all these. Oh, look, you get a replacement knob for the joystick of your NES Advantage. I guess if you somehow lost yours, or the turbo rate adjustment knob, like if the cover came off. 3D glasses, cardboard, $2. And then if you needed a game pack manual, $1.25, and you just tell them what game pack it was. Wow, that's pretty cool. And this is back in the days when you would fill this out and mail it in, and you wouldn't get your stuff for 4 to 6 weeks, compared to now when you order stuff on Amazon and you get it the next day, just a different time. And then this is the last thing, is it? Oh, there's some stuff back there, but I don't know what it is. This is the main thing, really. I mean, to me, this is sort of the heavy hitter item in here. This is a Nintendo Fun Club membership card that was never even removed from this piece of paper that it came with. This is, I don't know if you can tell, this is made so that you can, I forgot what you call the word for that, so that you could tear it out easily. Yeah, and it's S. Yossi. I've never heard that last name before, Yossi. East Lansing, Michigan. So it made it all the way here from suburban Detroit. And then the back just has nothing on it. But that's just really cool. I mean, it's funny because there must have been so many Nintendo Fun Club members, and they all got a card, but these cards are just not something you see every day. And to get one where it hasn't been signed and hasn't been sort of punched out is pretty crazy. So, part of me would like to frame that and put it up, but I think same as with the magazine, I'm going to put this in a bag with a board and just put it back in the folder. So let's put this stuff back real quick, and then just like I say, for old time's sake, we're going to quickly flick through both of the magazines. Poster, yeah, and then that's it. But like I said, it wasn't cheap, but it's just, how many opportunities in life do you get to buy something like this? I guess just to do them in order, we can look at Nintendo Fun Club news again real quick. Obviously, sports theme. This guy has a jersey that just says hockey on it, but kind of seems like it's modeled after New York Rangers jersey there. And his sunglasses are flying off. Oh, that's pretty. I never noticed that before. I don't remember bringing this up when I did the read through, but check it out. It's got that stupid orange car from RC Pro-Am taken off. So it's almost like they're acknowledging the fact that game cheated. But yeah, it's the 88 sports wrap up. So that's kind of cool. And then, I know I mentioned this when I did the read through, but one thing that always sticks out to me when I flip through these old Fun Club newses is that they had ads, because back in the day, Nintendo Power did not have ads. And maybe they thought it was silly to have, did they see Konami / Ultra as, competitors? Maybe, because, if you go buy Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, for example, that maybe that's one less first party game that you're buying. I don't really know. Metroid for masters only. Some tips for Metroid, as well as nothing. I thought that was going to be Blaster Master, but they're just making a pun there. And then we have sort of this double Tecmo ad. And I know I pointed this out already, I think, when I did the read through, but this is before Tecmo Bowl came out. Well, it says right there, coming September of '88. And the artwork here is based on the arcade flyer for the arcade version, because this is not the artwork that was used on the NES version, which is kind of too bad, because I think it kind of looks better. There's nothing wrong with what we got, but I think this looks pretty cool. Stuff and Things. All right. And here's the official Nintendo Player's Guide. I got a copy of that. People are always asking me to do a read through of that. And I don't know, that just sounds so boring to me. Like, I just think reading through magazines is so much more interesting. But maybe that's just me. And here you can order some back issues of Nintendo Fun Club News. I don't remember which issues I have, but I don't have very many of them. The price on those has really gone up. So I don't think, it's bad enough paying $100 for, Nintendo Power issue number 1. At least it's a full magazine, but paying $100 for something that's only a handful of pages, I can't get down with that. And there was $250 back then for back issues. Check your smoke detectors and locate all fire exits, because these games are hot. Wow. All right. Taito ad. And, I always like Bubble Bobble. I'm not sure I've ever played the arcade version of Bubble Bobble, but I always liked the NES version. I had elevator action. I don't know. I guess it's a perfectly good version of the game, but it's, I guess, not what I was really hoping for when I got it. And then Operation Wolf. Yeah. I mean, I loved that game in the arcade, but at home, not so much. And then here is a review of Wizards and Warriors, which my best friend had when I was a kid, and I used to love watching him play it. And I liked it. I feel like it's a deeply flawed game, but I love it anyway, if that makes sense. Another ad, this time for LJN, which we already saw that little insert for. T&C Surf Designs, once again. What else we got? It's funny, T&C Surf Designs no longer has the rights to use all those characters, like Thrilla Gorilla and whatnot. Those were all invented by and drawn by a guy named Steve Nazar, who also did the artwork for my show. That's pretty cool. So now some other company owns the rights to all that stuff. And Thrilla Crew, they're called, Thrilla Crew. And then Steve Nazar works with Thrilla Crew. But they always had the rights to the yin yang symbol. So, because T&C Surf Designs, they still exist. They make surfboards. They're in Hawaii, which it says right there. So their logo is still that yin yang symbol, but they can no longer use any of those cartoon characters. Sneak peeks, Super Mario Brothers 2. So here's a preview of the game, even before it got a lot more coverage in that Nintendo Power. Where's Link? All the fun of The Legend of Zelda continues in Zelda 2: The Adventures of Link, right? But when? As soon as we can get more computer chips, there has been a shortage. So, a lot has been said about the computer chip shortage. I don't doubt that it was real, but I think that Nintendo also kind of leveraged it to their advantage. But, Zelda 2 was available, excuse me, in limited quantities, Christmas of '88. And my friend was lucky enough to get a copy, but it didn't really get widely released until 1989. And Pack Watch, new Nintendo Power feature. Watch for Pack Watch in the sneak peek section of Nintendo Power magazine. In the premiere issue, Pack Watch will give you a glimpse of what's coming this summer and fall from Nintendo and makers of all the hot video games you can play on your Nintendo Entertainment System. So we'll see that when we flip through the Nintendo Power issue. Some more tips and tricks, more Metroid tricks. Who doesn't want more of those? Kid Icarus tricks. I've mentioned this, I'm sure, before on the show. Kid Icarus was the first video game I ever played to completion, although continuing many, many times. But it's the first time I ever saw, the end of a game, having gotten there myself. Some Zelda tricks there, or tips. Konami ad here. Life Force, Blades of Steel. Bayou Belly, pretty cool game. The Japanese version is better. Castlevania 2 Simon's Quest, a much maligned game that I think is really good. And Track and Field 2, I was always partial to the first Track and Field, just because that was a popular game when I was a kid. Ad for Nintendo Power, along with a subscription card that you can mail in. And then here's the 88 Sports Wrap-Up. Punch-Out, which, that's one of the all-time great NES games. Rad Racer, you know, I don't probably could take that one or leave it. Some tips for Mike Tyson. What do they got? The tips are in the name. The tips are in and the names are out. Sorry, and then it's giving credit to the people. Hey, there's someone from Sacramento. Nice. And yeah, it just gives you a few tips for the game. And then over here is an SNK ad, sort of a double ad, the same style as Tecmo's. Lee Trevino's Fighting Golf, pretty good golf game for the NES. Nothing will top NES Open Tournament Golf, but Lee Trevino's Fighting Golf is no slouch either. And then, you know, I don't know this for a fact, but I highly suspect that, what was it, Lee Carvalho's putting challenge for, or on The Simpsons, I'm guessing was based on that, but maybe not. And then down here's Iron Tank, which I don't think I have much experience playing, but it looks kind of neat. More sports games. Pro wrestling. I'm not a huge fan, but I know people who had pro wrestling as a kid remember it very fondly. And I'm not saying it's a bad game. I just think some of those early wrestling games were really just a lot of button mashing. And then ice hockey. You know, there's a lot of people. You got your Blades of Steel people, and you've got your ice hockey people. I'm a Blades of Steel guy, but I think ice hockey is a great game. People love the fact that you kind of pick your team. Like you can have the skinny guy or the fat guy or the guy that's kind of in the middle, and they all had sort of their own attributes. Next to that is RC Pro-Am. I did a video about the whole RC Pro-Am series very early on in my show. Much beloved game for me. Data East ad, Breakthrough, Side Pocket, Karate Champ, Kid Nicky, Radical Ninja, Ring King, Karnov, and Cobra Command, and coming soon, RoboCop. Cool looking ad though. I like that. I like that artwork quite a bit. Kind of interesting that Data East didn't have any kind of unified box art style at all, aside from just having their logo on there. Top 5. What games on top? Fun Club members have sent in the names of their top 5 favorite video games. Here's how we rated your responses. And top game, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. I'm not really surprised to see that. It's such a good game. Legend of Zelda, Super Mario Brothers, Metroid, and Kid Icarus. You know, what do the kids say? No lies detected. I mean, those are 5 heavy hitter games. I would say of those 5, Kid Icarus. I think there's some people out there that are not real big into Kid Icarus, but for reasons I already stated, I've got a real soft spot for it. So, and then over here is a Bondi ad for, we got Xevious, Galaga, whatever you want to say. I'm not familiar with these last 2, Zeta Gundam or Mega. I could scarcely think of a more generic name for a game than Mega. And then over here, I guess we already kind of talked about this. Here's Bases Loaded. Although you have to wonder, you know, if this person who owned this, I wonder if they saw this ad and that's how they ended up getting Bases Loaded. Because here's even a little thing about those Wilson Sports posters. Power player profiles. You know, kids could send in their picture along with some info and hope that they would get featured in the magazine. That's pretty cool. Nobody I know, and I say that half jokingly only because I have seen people I know in the high scores tables in Nintendo Power, which is, well, what this is here. Nobody I know here, though. But and then here's an ad from Vic Tokai. Chesterfield, did that come out here? If it did, it was under a different name, I think. I've never heard of that. There's Terra Cresta, vertically scrolling shooter that got a sequel that was released on the PC Engine and is extremely expensive. And then there's Golgo 13. Oh, man. Rambo ad. Well, it's just an Acclaim ad, I suppose. But, you know, mostly featuring Rambo. Then down here, again, another game, Empire City 1931. Not familiar with that. Either came out under a different game or not at all. Airwolf, one of my favorite TV shows as a kid. And WWF Superstars. And then over here is an ad for Sunsoft. Big Game Hunter. Well, that's kind of interesting. But, yeah. Blaster Master, Freedom Force, that one I don't recall. Xenophobe, and Spy Hunter. I've always enjoyed the NES version of Spy Hunter. I know a lot of people are really down on it, but Spy Hunter was one of my absolute favorite arcade games. So just to be able to play it at home for me was a pretty big deal. And then here is a crossword puzzle that has been filled out, and we're not going to really waste time looking at it because right below that is a Capcom ad, although it's just for Legendary Wings, which makes it a little bit less exciting. Over here's an ad for Capcom, and there's Super Pitfall, which I was unfortunate enough to have as a kid. And that's one of those games, like, the game is so terrible and it's so buggy, but I had it when I was a kid, and so it's just impossible for me to hate it, even though I would like to hate it. And then Zombie Master, I'm not familiar with. Although, actually, I don't think I've ever played Predator either. I'm just familiar with the movie, as is everybody. And then back cover, yet another ad for Nintendo Power. They really want you to subscribe to Nintendo Power. And then, interestingly, this issue of Nintendo Power says free poster inside instead of having the, I think the one had a sticker over it that said like free issue. Because if you were a Nintendo Fun Club member, they all got a free issue of Nintendo Power, I guess, to try to get them to subscribe. And my recollection, at least, is that those said like, free issue or here's your free issue or something like that. But this one doesn't say that. But so I don't know if this would have come off of the newsstand. That doesn't really make much sense because this person, as a card carrying member of the Fun Club, would have gotten this for free. Two things I remember from doing the read through of this magazine. A lot of people, for some reason, got really, here, I'll switch it back. A lot of people, for some reason, got really upset at me for calling this plasticine. They say, well, it's just modeling clay. And it's like, okay, that's true, but plasticine is a specific type of modeling clay, and that's what that is. That's plasticine. So, stick that in your pipe and do whatever. And then this one I do have to sort of take on the chin, though, is I called Wart Bowser. And that's just a my bad right there. I got nothing to say. Everybody, I mean, this is a very famous issue, obviously goes into depth, Super Mario 2, and then it has a walkthrough for Zelda's second quest. Although I'm more excited to check out the baseball roundup just because it's very topical for me at the moment. Here's an ad for you to call the Nintendo game counselors, which I'll give them credit. It's not an 800 number. That would have been nice. Of course, if it was an 800 number, then Nintendo has to pay for it. But it also wasn't a 900 number. So, I'll give them credit for that. It's just basically as long as you pay the long distance fees, Nintendo was paying for the game counselors to be there. So, and I only say that because you see a lot. Sometimes you'll see in magazines, they'll have like a list of phone numbers you can call to talk to, you can call Capcom or call Konami. And a lot of those were 900 numbers. So it's nice to see Nintendo not completely taking advantage of people. Like I said, I don't want to make this a full read through because we already did it. So I'm going to try to kind of go through it quickly. Table of contents. Here was the walkthrough for Super Mario Brothers 2, which, it bears mentioning, when this magazine came out, the game was not out yet. So you were basically getting like a teaser sneak preview of it, which, considering how huge Super Mario Brothers was, this had to be, I can't imagine I would have been 11 years old when this magazine came out. And, I was a Nintendo owner. And I can't imagine how exciting it would have been back then to read this. Which, of course, was the point. This was always I thought this was a cool, I don't know if you call that a collage or whatever you would call it. The Super Mario Brothers 2 Sports Festival. There's this guy I follow on Twitter. His Twitter name is like the Art of Nintendo Power. And I mean, he's just, I don't even want to call him a collector. It's almost like, we have him to thank for preserving a lot of the original Nintendo Power artwork. I mean, I wonder if by any chance he has this one. That would just be kind of cool. Like, I'd buy a print of that if that was an option. Here we get into like a little bit of a walkthrough of Super Mario Brothers 2. Because you can imagine, you would save this magazine, and then when you finally did get the game, you'd be able to pull it back out and make use of that. But you can see it spans many pages. World 2, 3, and then that's it. Now you're on your own after that. Then we get into this Zelda the Second Quest feature. They give you here a trick so that you can go straight to the second quest instead of having to beat the first quest first. And then we get into some strategy stuff. Because, of course, the second quest, it's still, in some ways it's the same game. It looks the same, but, the levels are in different places. And the levels are laid out. The dungeons are not all laid out the same. So, in some ways it's a whole new game, and in some ways it's not. But I would say mostly it's a whole new game. But I'll admit I've never played through the second quest. I've only beaten the first quest. And then down here they give you some little teaser action for Zelda 2. So that's pretty cool. And then I assume this is the free poster that they're talking about on the cover. You see on one side you've got a complete map to the Legend of Zelda. So that's certainly handy. And then some tips down here. And then I don't remember what's on the other side. Oh, that's cool. Look at that. I get nerdy about this stuff just because for me, I think, just my own personal, opinion or whatever, or personal taste. Baseball games hit their zenith during the 8-bit era. That's just, a lot of people will argue with that and say that, modern baseball games are better, or, some of the baseball games on the Genesis, like World Series baseball, are better. But, for me, baseball games on the NES and Famicom were the perfect balance between simplicity and authenticity. How about that? So here's that baseball roundup, and we've got bases loaded, the officially licensed Major League Baseball that I talked about a little bit, and then RBI baseball. So as I already mentioned, Bases Loaded was released in Japan as Moero Pro Yaku, and RBI baseball was Family Stadium, and the first one was Family Stadium like 87, I think, and that's what we got as RBI baseball. Sort of, I'll go into it in more depth when I make that video, but it's interesting because after the first game, the two series like forked. So RBI baseball is Family Stadium, like I said, I think it's 87, and then RBI baseball 2 is not Family Stadium 88 or whatever. Like the RBI baseballs we got here after this one were sort of purpose made for the North American market by, I believe it was by Atari/Tengen. And the reason for that was that Family Stadium was released in the arcade here by Atari. So he's got some general info here, differences in team management, pitching. I don't want to go through any of this in too much detail because I feel like we've already done that. The batter's box, and it says bottom of the ninth, but it just sort of seems like that's just some little extra stuff. Oh, here it's talking about how you can throw beanballs. Who doesn't love throwing beanballs? Yeah. Anyway, then we get into the counselor's corner where, supposedly these are questions that were sent in, perhaps. I think probably mostly, if I had to guess, I would say that the game counselors were probably just sort of asked, like, what are some questions that are coming up over and over again when people call in? And so like here at Ghosts and Goblins, is there a stage select? Also, how do I beat the Red Devil? For a lot of people, myself included, whether or not you were going to get past that Red Devil, which was only like halfway through the first level, was, sometimes you were going to and sometimes you weren't going to. Overall, Ghosts and Goblins was kind of a hot mess. It was a Micronix port and it was kind of buggy, but, my friend had it, so we played it anyway and had fun with it. And then here's a question for Ring King, which, I don't think I knew anybody when I was a kid that had Ring King, so I'm not really sure how popular that was. And then over here, Metroid. Original Super Mario Brothers. Are there really unlimited 1-ups? Plus, can you tell me how to get the fireworks and what they mean? So, I don't think I have ever in my life pulled off that 1-up trick. Although, to be fair, I haven't ever really tried. I don't really feel like you need more 1-ups in Super Mario Brothers, but that's just me. And definitely when I was a kid, I never really understood the rhyme or reason to, whether or not you got fireworks, and if you did, how many of them you got. Then Kid Icarus, Rygar, Castlevania. No matter how many times I try, I can't seem to beat the 5 boss characters. If you think about it, that's a weird, it's a weirdly phrased question, because if you can't beat the first boss, how did you get to the second boss? So that's how you kind of know these questions are a little bit made up, because really it's just an excuse. Listen, we're just trying to give you some tips of like how to beat the first 5 bosses. But I just think it's funny the way that's phrased. And then Akari Warriors, that's one that I had when I was a kid. Is there a secret continue or stage select for the game? ABBA, baby, which we used liberally. Like, you'd get a game over and the game would kind of just sort of hang around for a while and give you several seconds to type in ABBA. And if you did, your dude would just reappear right in the exact same spot. I don't think I ever knew about the stage select code back then, though. I just remember my friend Steven and I one afternoon, like, one Saturday afternoon or whatever, playing Akari Warriors. Same kid, by the way, that had Ghosts and Goblins. Like, I brought over my games. His grandparents lived across the street from me. And I brought over my games, and we were playing some Akari Warriors 2-player, because we just wanted to like beat the game, or at least like complete the game, I suppose. And so we were using the ABBA code, and we played the game for what felt like a really long time, because we were little kids. We were probably both like 11 or 12. And so it probably wasn't that long, is my point. But at some point the game like glitched out and we couldn't go any farther. And we were understandably upset, because, we were trying to cheat using the ABBA code, but we wanted to see the whole game, and then we never got to see the ending. So that was pretty crappy. Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. Tips to beat Mike Tyson. I've never beaten Mike Tyson. I've gotten to Mike Tyson, but again, I'm sure if I put in the work, I could beat Mike Tyson, but never really tried. And then down here, they're just trying to get you can write in and ask questions, or you can call the number between 4 a.m. and 8 p.m. Pacific time. That's crazy, because they are, of course, located in the Seattle area, Redmond, Washington. And I can't imagine being the game counselor that had to wake up in time to be at work at 4 a.m. so that some kid on the East Coast could call you before school. That's pretty funny. Howard and Nestor comics, I never really got into that. Classified information, which is really just more tips. Here's how to pull the goalie in ice hockey. Tip for Rad Racer. I'm not sure I've ever played Athena before. The 30 life code that everybody already knows. For Contra, what's this Gunsmoke one? I don't remember there being a Gunsmoke. When the title screen appears, push the A button 4 times and the select button 4 times, then push the control pad right twice. Finally push start. Now you're loaded. I guess you get a machine gun with 300 rounds of ammunition. I didn't know about that. I had Gunsmoke when I was a kid. I didn't know about any cheat codes for it, though. Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. I guess. Are you looking to pick a fight? Enter the pass. I guess it's how to go straight to the second circuit. That's kind of cool, I suppose. Arkanoid. I never had Arkanoid when I was a kid. I would have loved to have had Arkanoid and that Voss controller that it came with. I mean, shoot, I'd still love to have that now. More Ring King. They're really trying to shove Ring King down your throat. Ninja Kid? What's Ninja Kid? I don't know. Xanac. Here's a big feature on Double Dragon. I remember, playing Double Dragon as a kid. I knew at least one kid that had it. Of course, the main complaint with Double Dragon is that you can't play 2-player simultaneous, which is one of the most fun things about beat 'em up games. So, I mean, that's a shame, but, it's a fair complaint, but let's not try to make it sound like that makes this version of Double Dragon a trash game or something, because it's not. It's just, for a kid like me, I would have had plenty of fun playing it single player. But I guess, if somebody was buying it expecting to have 2 players simultaneous, I can certainly understand why they would be highly annoyed. Pretty huge feature here. That's pretty cool. Gauntlet. I remember I used to play, speaking of games you can play 2 players simultaneous, I remember playing this game, my friend Jonathan, he had this game, and I would go over to his house and play it with him. I was always Merlin the Wizard, and he was always Questor the Elf, which I always thought was kind of funny because like Jonathan was a real skinny kid, and I just, to me, it felt like that was the most appropriate character for him to choose. I, on the other hand, did not have a beard yet at that time, but I always loved Gauntlet. I guess I've never really sat down and like tried to compare the arcade version to the NES version, because to me, like, comparisons like that are kind of silly back then. I mean, of course, the arcade version of almost every game is going to be better, but again, just to be able to play the game, like I said with Spy Hunter, to be able to play the game at home was in itself cool. And I've always thought highly of this version of the game. And then here's Contra. I didn't remember that being in here. So nice feature on Contra. I knew a different kid when I was in 5th grade who had Contra. I cannot remember his name for the life of me. He's like one of those kids where, we didn't really hang out together too much except just to play video games. Like his house was on the way home from my house. And so like after school, it's kind of funny, like, it was kind of I don't know how it is now. I don't have kids or whatever, but when I was a kid, it was always kind of a big deal. Like, you're not allowed to go over to somebody's house if their parents weren't home. And that would be like their parent, you would tell your kid, you can't have company over if we're not here. Right. And so like after school, you'd find out some kid like, oh, I just got Super Mario Brothers 2 or something. Like, oh, can I come over and play it? No, my parents are at work, and so you can't come over. And so like this kid, it was like a condo that his dad, like his parents were divorced or whatever. And like his dad just had this like 1-bedroom condo. And I guess his dad just didn't care. And so like I could go over to his house, and I mean, we'd never gotten in any trouble. Like literally we would go into his house. I think it was in like his dad's bedroom was where the TV was and the NES was hooked up, and we would go in there and we'd pop in Contra, type in the Konami code and just, blast through the game. And fun memories, but like I said, I don't even remember the kid's name. So and then this is a lot less exciting for me. Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy. Sorry, I've been talking for like 2 hours. I remember playing games like this. Like you go over to some kid's house, and somebody had bought the poor kid Jeopardy. And so we would play it, but it was surprising how quickly you would get to the point where you were seeing the same clues over again. And so you would just kind of have the game memorized. Wheel of Fortune, I don't remember ever playing on the NES, however. Video shorts. So I think these are games that are maybe just come out. What does it say here? Features every single new release video game now available or coming by the next issue for your NES. So these are games that were basically coming out in the summer of '88. Legendary Wings, Iron Tank. There's Gunsmoke. I didn't get Gunsmoke until I feel like it was like 1992 or something. So by the time I got it, it was kind of an old game, but I got it like as like a previously played game or whatever at a video rental store. Rambo, Dragon Power. I don't remember that one. There's Metal Gear, which I've talked about a lot on the show before. Bionic Commando. That one's pretty cool. City Connection. I've played that game a little bit. I just don't remember enough about it to have anything to say about it. I'm sure I must have skipped Ikari Warriors 2 Victory Road just based on how much I did not like the first Ikari Warriors because it was a buggy mess. Star Force, Freedom Force. And then here's Pack Watch. So they were teasing this in that Fun Club News issue. So like these are games that are going to be coming out, sometime later, presumably. So like there's Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link, Jackal, cool game, Blaster Master. There's that Empire City 1931 game again. Simon's Quest, Life Force. Oh, Marble Madness. My friend Stuart had Marble Madness. We used to love playing that. The players poll, you can see, there you go. Does that say Leslie? Leslie Yossi. There you go. So now we know who you are. Anyway, filled out the players poll, but did not send it in, unfortunately. I guess maybe her parents didn't want to give her a stamp. And here's stuff going on in the world of Nintendo. Here's a bunch of Japanese kids lined up. That is too close. Lined up waiting to buy Dragon Quest 3. So that's a pretty neat picture to see. And Vindicators for the arcade. Here they're trying to sell you some books. Konami awards the Top Gun title. 4 finalists launched their mighty F-14 fighters to battle for the coveted Top Gun title in the finale to Konami's Top Gun video game shootout contest. When the dust cleared, judges tallied up the scores and awarded Devin Devil White of Minneapolis, Minnesota, the Top Gun title and the first place prize of $5,000. Wow. Well, that's pretty cool. What is that? Big Top Pee-wee, right? Yeah. Well, they call it Pee-wee's Big Top, but I'm pretty sure the movie was called Big Top Pee-wee. I saw that in the arcade. Speaking of baseball, there's 8 Men Out about the White Sox scandal. Vibes I'm not familiar with. And then Celebrity Profile, Kirk and Candace Cameron. And then they got a little shot here from both Full House and Growing Pains. Letters from readers. We're not going to check those out. And then here's the high score tables I was talking about with the NES achievers. I guess one time I saw this kid I went to high school with, Jeff. Although I could swear Brian Castorena, I think I went to school with that kid too. I'd have to look it up, but I think I went to high school with him. That's the first time I've ever seen that. And then I'm not sure I've ever seen it one of the issues or not. I know that Steve Wozniak used to send his Tetris high scores into the magazine until they banned him. Top 30, which, it's never been clear to me how they calculate these top 30s. It's like somehow they combine these three. I don't know. I don't know if they're just adding up the scores. I have no idea. But these were always fun to check out back in the day. Like I said, I never had Nintendo Power, but Jonathan did, so I used to read his issues. And no surprise that Legend of Zelda takes the top spot. Punch-Out, Metroid, Super Mario Brothers, Kid Icarus, RC Pro-Am. Yeah. Very surprised to see baseball at 21, just because that game, by the time this magazine was out, believe it or not, baseball was 5 years old, because that came out in 83 on the Famicom. And I don't know why that would be on here. Maybe like Bases Loaded and whatnot hadn't quite come out yet. I don't really know. Some stuff coming out in the next issue, which didn't I already do a read through of Nintendo Power issue number 2? I don't recall. I'd have to go look. I'm so old I can't remember what I've done on my show anymore. And then here's yet again trying to get you to subscribe to the magazine. And then just sort of a generic ad for Nintendo, but kind of a cool one. So anyway, that's it. That is the Nintendo folder from Armadillo Music. So just a lot of cool stuff in here. I mean, how many of us as kids didn't have a folder like this where, we would keep, various video game stuff. So that's it. That's it for this episode of CGQ Plus. As always, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Get
offer. 6 great issues plus 6 free strategy guides on a hot new game. That's twice the power for still $15. Wow!
Call now.